Now then, um, the consequences, obviously. First of all, a lot of territories were flooded. A lot of territories controlled by both Russia and Ukraine were flooded. Russia does not care about any people in the world whatsoever if it's not Kremlin's mafia. I want you to understand this super clearly. Russia was controlling basically these positions on the left side of the river, and there were Russian soldiers there, and they didn't know that this explosion will happen, this diversion will happen, because Russia doesn't care. Russia doesn't care about their own citizens. Russia doesn't care about Ukrainian people. Russia does not care on a giant levels, like on a big scale. They don't give a fuck unless it is about Putin, unless it is like about this his very like immediate surrounding. Nothing else matters. I want you to understand this, and it will be seen very, very clearly when we talk later about this Prigozhin's mutiny. What happened to Putin? What he did? The first thing I'm gonna tell you. So obviously, a huge fucking ecological disaster, huge fucking human disaster in terms of displacing so many people, so many lives again ruined. It's like Russia is a terrorist state. I think it would be amazing if fucking United Nations finally take the fucking ass, take the fucking head out of their asses, and actually on the international scale admit that Russia is a terrorist state, kick them out of United Nations, and then start dealing with them as a terrorist state, because this is who they are right now. Like it's beyond reprehensible at this point. It's like it was beyond reprehensible when they fucking annexed Crimea. Now it's like now it's just another level, and I wouldn't be fucking absolutely wouldn't be at this point surprised if they actually would fucking detonate Zaporizhia nuclear plant. At this point, I wouldn't be surprised whatsoever. So, a few things to note. I'm pretty sure, like, if somebody was following this story, you've probably heard a lot how the Kakhovka Dam sort of basically either with the help of some detonation or without the help of any detonation was destroyed. Because on the side of Russians, on the side of so first of all, we need to understand the construction of the dam and how it operates. It has these gates that can be opened by cranes. You can see like on the pictures if you're listening this. There are pictures on YouTube version. There are two cranes that can open the gates. And when Ukrainians were in control of this dam, they were opening the gates sort of periodically, different gates, because what can happen if you open only one gate and let it sort of let it run all the time, it can erode the ground underneath where it's actually flooding the water, and that can lead to sort of unstable base of that particular portion of that particular section of the dam, and that can obviously lead to a catastrophic failure. So it doesn't matter if it doesn't really matter if Russians detonated something in the like machinery hall or in the base surf of the dam. Even though I think people right now are pretty already convinced that they have detonated something. It doesn't really matter because they were in control, and if you are in control of such massive construction that has basically it has so much dangers involved with like operating this facility, right? You either like it is right now on a nuclear station, because on Zaporizhia nuclear power plant there are Russians in control, but Ukrainians are operating it. Luckily, obviously, I'm pretty sure there's a lot of like torture and everything happening, and I think I've heard recently that they've been forced to sign a contract, not forced to sign a contract basically with Rosatom, with Russian nuclear sort of main overseer, I guess you could say, like operator. But that's besides the point, right? So on the Kakhovka dam, that didn't happen. Russians were in control. They didn't fucking know what they're doing whatsoever, because satellites from sort of different time showed that when Ukrainians had to retreat basically from the dam, Russians have opened sort of right side, basically closer to them, gates, and left the cranes there running all the time. They didn't move the cranes, so the cranes basically lifted the gates to open and close them. They didn't basically move them for, I don't know how much it was. It probably was like more than like 3 months, definitely more than 3 months. I'm pretty sure. And so that could have eroded sort of the soil underneath and started sort of the cascade effect that later would collapse everything. However, and this is why people have pointed out that the gates are here, obviously, that could have started the destruction of the dam. But also there are kind of gaps at the machine hall, basically where generators are. And so it is presumed that right now that there were it is kind of a known fact that there were explosives there. And seemingly, when Russia was retreating also from that area, or at least like sort of trying to retreat maybe a little bit more, they probably just blew up. And there were like recordings, but with audio recordings, it's kind of easy to fake them, obviously. But I've listened myself to several recordings of, at least one recording, of sort of two communicating Russian, like either officers or soldiers, don't know. And one of them were admitting to, basically, were admitting for destruction of this dam. So, and also Russia, I'm pretty sure, blew up the when they were retreating and sort of moving to third positions. They blew up the road on their side, and that again is clearly visible from the satellite imagery. And that also could have damaged. Basically the foundation of the dam itself. And I'm pretty sure that was like one of the points. Oh no, that wasn't one of the points. No, don't listen to me. That was actually, it was the Ukrainian side who blew it up. Don't listen to me about this. Long story short, again, it doesn't matter. Did someone actually blew up the machinery hall or anything like that? Russia was in control, and they should have been very careful with it. Instead, they're literally releasing a law that says, well, here's the translation: until January 1st, technical investigation of accidents at, well, hazardous, dangerous production facilities and accidents on hydraulic structures which occurred as a result of military action, sabotage, and terrorist attacks shall not be carried out. Literally a law. Russian governmental decree number 873. And I just showed you that it is still here, right there. You can download PDF, you can open HTML, it is right there. So then, actually, yeah, and the first thing the Russians did were lie, that Ukraine sort of attacked with HIMARSs and destroyed them or something like that, which is bonkers because previously, I forgot when it was already, Ukraine tried to actually tried to use HIMARSs on certain bridges. I think even in Kakhovka Dam, but like on not on a dam, but like on a little bridge, sort of to the side of it. And well, it wasn't particularly successful. Even like I think they were able to hit not even about Kakhovka Dam, like various other bridges were hit by like HIMARSs or like smaller, like really well guided sort of missiles. They don't do that much damage. Yes, maybe like the cars will not be able to drive, but again, repair is relatively easy, or not like relatively easy, but it is doable. But to destroy something like a dam, you would need a lot of HIMARSs, and there were no sort of reports that there were like literally like sort of explosions on the dam, because otherwise how else would you be able to attack it with something like a missile? It would be visible, somebody would have seen something, there would be explosions, because again, and people have phones nowadays and so on and so forth. None of that happened basically. So yeah. And actually I lied. This is the explosions that were caused by Russians. Yeah, I remember. I don't know why I said it was Ukrainian side. That was the Russian side. Who actually blew it. So yeah, once again, Russia always lies. You need to remember that always. If something comes from either like propaganda sources or like from official statements of Kremlin, they always lie. And I will show you this again today. I will show you word by word that they always lie. And if you have any kind of memory, if you remember about the annexation of Crimea and about little green men, as they were called, Putin denied that it was Russia who have done it. He denied it for like years. And then in an interview in, I think, 2017, I don't remember who it was. It might have been like something like BBC or something, to like a foreign basically outlet. He said like, yeah, of course it was ours. It was our people. Of course it was. And he was laughing about it. I'm pretty sure I mentioned it in some like previous episode. I don't know if I've ever found it included, but like you can, I'm pretty sure you can like easily find it on YouTube. But the fucking piece of shit that he is, he was laughing to the face of the earth. And yeah, just you know, like this is Russia, and this is Russian leadership. Lie and deny always, up until like it's already super like late, or several years later, and then you can say like, yeah, it was us. What can you do to us? Because this is the mentality of gopnik. You need to understand what gopnik is, because Putin is literally fucking gopnik. Is it? I don't know, like maybe like something like a chav or whatever in like UK, something like that. Is your fucking guys in tracksuits and with this like a fucking attitude, like, you know, I'm gonna punch you in the face up until you can defend yourself, and then if you punch me in the face as well, then okay, you know, maybe I'll retreat. If not, I'm gonna continue this. Something to this degree. You need to understand the mentality. And this is the mentality, because everybody thinks that Russia has a nuclear weapon and they can use it, which they will never use it because they want to leave. This is a kleptocratic fucking pieces of garbage. They don't want to die. They want to steal and do some fucking atrocious shit. They don't want to die. They're not like some jihadists who are fucking, I don't know, want to die for an idea to meet an ally or whatever the fuck. This is not them. Putin and his surroundings are not them. They're building the fucking wealthiest, I don't know what to tell you. Look up the Gelendzhik, Putin's palace. There was a whole giant investigation on Navalny YouTube channel. It's probably their most viewed video. That's a person who doesn't want to die, and so he will never use nuclear weapons, because nuclear weapons means total war with the rest of the world. And yeah, this is just horrific. What happened at Kakhovka. Yes. And this is again, like if you're listening, there is a video version of this, and I'm showing right now a little preview that this particular area, and this is like machinery hall, this is what sort of kind of lead people to believe that most likely it was a controlled destruction. So it wasn't just the failure of the structure itself due to the negligence of the Russian side, although that probably was also playing a giant role, but it seems like they have used the explosions and actually destroyed the dam, because it's slightly far further removed from like a main sort of bridge area, and once again, Russia is controlling that whole area. So, yeah. It is such a fucking devastating humanitarian catastrophe, quite literally. That, like, I have no words, really. Because this was basically, like, this is... Yeah, I'm gonna show you, obviously, the pictures, right? That the whole city, or cities, villages, everything flooded. And there are many villages out there. Everything is flooded. It is... Yeah. It is just... It's a travesty. It is absolute travesty. And you can see the dam right there, and obviously all the areas here totally flooded. And by the way, these areas, I'm pretty sure, were sort of under Russian control. So, like I'm saying again, they don't give a fuck about their own people. They don't give a fuck about people who they claim to be liberated by Russia. They don't give a fuck. They don't. Simple as that. And yeah, and obviously the whole sort of city is kind of on a like lower, in a, not pit, but like sort of like a, at least like on a level plane with the dam, and everything here, you can see that everything is totally flooded. Totally flooded. You can't walk there. You need to quite literally use a boat. And what's even more despicable is that there have been many reports, and I think maybe I'll talk about it like in another video. Maybe you've seen it yourself or heard about that. That when Ukrainian volunteers try to evacuate their own people out of these flooded areas, Russia were literally shoot at them with like machine guns and everything, and also dropped from like drones bombs on them, on volunteers and on civilians who were trying to escape the flooded areas that were caused by Russia, either negligence or direct explosion. I want you to hear it and understand this. Russia destroyed the dam. People were trying to evacuate. Civilians, not like military personnel, nothing like that. And Russia was denying those people safety, or like at least attempt to escape to safety, by literally firing at them. If that's not a fucking terrorist state, I don't know what is. I don't know what is. You can see that, you know, many streets are absolutely lost, and yeah, it's there is no good word to describe it besides the fact that the fact that it's a terrorist state, and I sincerely hope that everyone responsible for this, everyone, will face life sentences. Not death, life sentences. So you have enough time to realize and understand what in the fuck you have done. And without parole, without even ability to fucking question that decision. Life sentences for all of them. For all the fucking elites, top fucking elites in the air quotes of Russia, for all the fucking Russian mafia, for all those pieces of shit who actually executed those criminal fucking orders on the ground. And with the widespread of OSINT, of the open source intelligence, they will be found. They will be found exactly like those despicable pieces of shit who destroyed that house in apartment building, like a section of apartment building in Dnipro, and killed like fucking 80 people or something. Yeah, and you can see obviously dried up river and where the waters were, and it's at least like 2-3 meters down, and it was the photos are quite old even by now, maybe even like a whole 5 meters, who knows. Which again, like, it's gonna be a humanitarian catastrophe, because now there are images of completely dried up reservoir, right? This whole area with so much water in it, it's now dried up totally. So yeah, it's gonna have huge ecological effects. That this is eco-terrorism, and I'm pretty sure I've heard that EU have opened the case about eco-terrorism, considering the destruction of this dam. I hope that it's gonna go well, and Russia will be prosecuted for it. But yeah, this is to restore this whole area to where it was before. It's gonna take like decades, probably years for sure, and years like obviously after the end of the war, which we don't know when the war will end. But yeah, this is a war. This is not even a war crime. This is a crime against humanity. This is an ecological terrorism. This is a terrorism in just a general sense, because this is something that definitely affects just civilian population. And by the way, just for the context, when it happened is when Ukraine basically, kind of announced their counteroffensive operation, that it's kind of started, it's ongoing, and I have no doubt whatsoever. I have I have 10% of doubt, but besides that, no doubt whatsoever that Russia saw it as an opportunity to distract Ukrainians from counteroffensive operation, because now they need to evacuate people. Now they need to deal with this catastrophe, and in this case, they, at least Russia, probably thought that they will be distracted enough to at least slow down the counteroffensive. I guess to a degree it worked, but again, let's just think about it, right? Like, to stop counteroffensive operation, not even in this area, because in this area I'm pretty sure Ukrainians were not doing any maneuvers, at least not yet. Russia is alright with literally creating an ecological fucking catastrophe. They don't give a fuck to that degree. People just need to understand that. So yeah, I will include a few articles if you want to read about it. Obviously, I'm pretty sure it's a little bit old news, which is, June was pretty fucking intense month. But I will definitely include to a literal law that says, in case some fucking catastrophe, accident, whatever, we're not going to be investigating, and no rules about safety will apply to facilities that we actually control, such as Kakhovka Dam. So yeah. It's despicable. I have no words. I thought I've seen most of most of it already during this war. Apparently not. Apparently there is no line that Russia wouldn't cross. That's why I'm saying, I wouldn't be surprised if they literally detonate the fucking nuclear power plant. I wouldn't be surprised in a fucking slightest at this point.